All right, let's journey back, way, way back to ancient Greece, into the time of gods and heroes, to tell the story of Pandora's box.
So our story kicks off with two brothers. And these weren't just any brothers, they were titans. Older, more powerful than even the gods. And Zeus himself handed them a massive job, to go out and give a special, unique gift to every single creature on Earth. And here's the thing about these two, their names tell you everything you need to know. Prometheus, his name means to think ahead. This guy was the planner, the one who saw all the angles. And then you have his brother, Epimetheus, which means to think after. A good-hearted guy for sure, but, well, he was the type to act first and think about the consequences later.
So, with this huge task in front of them, the two brothers got to work, pouring all their creativity into giving out these amazing gifts. They started by looking at the birds. They saw how light and fragile they were, pretty defenseless down on the ground. So Prometheus, thinking ahead as always, gave them the perfect gift, wings, the ability to just soar up into the sky, far away from any danger. Then they got to the snakes. Epimetheus kind of thought they looked like someone had started making a lizard and then just gave up halfway. So Prometheus gave them a gift for protection, a suit of tough, interlocking scales.
And Epimetheus just loved it. He called it noodle armor. You could just picture them having the time of their lives, handing out fur and claws and shells to all the animals of the world.
But then, after every animal had been given its gift, the brothers looked at their list and realized one creature was left: humanity. And this is where the real trouble begins.
You see, Prometheus looked at humans, and he saw them shivering in the dark, huddled in caves. And he knew exactly what they needed: the perfect gift, fire. And it wasn't just for warmth, It was for light, for protection. It was the spark they would need to build everything we'd call a civilization.
But when he took this idea to Zeus, the king of the gods, he was completely shut down. Zeus thought humans were fine as they were, simple creatures, and his final word on it was pretty clear: they don't deserve it, and they won't have it.
Prometheus, being the forward thinker, just couldn't accept that. He decided Zeus was wrong. So in this incredible act of defiance, he crept up to the home of the gods, Mount Olympus, snatched a glowing ember from their hearth, and brought the gift of fire down to humankind.
Well, when Zeus found out, his rage was something else. He couldn't take the fire back, no, but he could get his revenge. So he came up with his awful two-part plan, one punishment for Prometheus and another for all of humanity.
First, Prometheus. Zeus had him captured and dragged to the most desolate, brutal mountains imaginable. There, he was chained to the highest peak with chains that could never, ever be broken. And to make it worse, every single day, Zeus sent a monstrous eagle to torment him.
But Zeus wasn't done. Oh no. For humanity, his revenge was much more cunning. He called all the other gods together, and they all pooled their powers to create a woman. And they made her sweet and beautiful, absolutely irresistible. They named her Pandora, and along with all her beauty and charm, the gods gave her one other little gift: a relentless, unquenchable curiosity, a deep-seated need to know, to see, to understand everything around her. So Pandora was sent down to Earth, right to the doorstep of the one and only Epimetheus, the brother who doesn't think ahead. She arrived with a wagon loaded with treasures, gold, fine silks, you name it. And tucked away among all these amazing gifts was one very strange, very tightly sealed jar.
And Epimetheus, being Epimetheus, didn't think twice. He just welcomed her in, and before long, they fell in love. And all the while, that mysterious jar just sat there in the corner of their home, waiting.
After a while, Epimetheus completely forgot the jar even existed. But Pandora couldn't. That curiosity, the special gift from Zeus, it just ate away at her day and night. What was in it? Why was it sealed so tightly? The mystery was just too much.
Then, late one night, when everyone was asleep, she found herself standing over it. She could almost feel it humming with secrets. And she thought, one little peek, it won't hurt, will it? So she reached out, her hands trembling a little, and she just barely lifted the lid, not even an inch. But the second she did, bam, the lid was violently blown right out of her hands by some incredible force from within. And out they came. Dark, monstrous shadows just exploded from the opening.
It was like a whirlwind of midnight, filled with these hideous, laughing shapes. Fear, anger, greed, jealousy, all the troubles and sorrows of the world flew out and scattered to the winds.
Epimetheus came rushing in, finally realizing, way too late, that this had all been a trap from Zeus. But as the last of the shadows faded away, Pandora noticed something, a little flicker of light, still inside the now empty jar.
Right there at the very bottom was this tiny, beautiful spot of brightness. She reached in gently, and as she cupped it in her hands, she felt it fluttering, just like a butterfly.
This little light hovered by her ear for just a second, then it zipped out the window and into the night. When Epimetheus asked her what it was, Pandora could only whisper. It said it was called hope.
And that tiny light traveled. It flew for miles, all the way to that remote mountain peak. It found Prometheus and whispered to him, telling him to hold on, to not give up. And soon after, the great hero Hercules arrived, fought off that terrible eagle, shattered those unbreakable chains, and together they leaped from the mountain to freedom.
So in the end, yes, Zeus had unleashed all these troubles upon the world, but humanity was now left with the fire to build and create, the freedom Prometheus had won for them, and that one tiny thing that remained at the bottom of the jar: hope.